Welcome back to the Real Estate News. I'm now with Sue Peck of Evolution Financial. Welcome, Sue. So nice to meet you. I wanted to talk today about buying your first home. And I know we're always talking on the show about how prices are so high out there. I'm wondering if it's still better to buy than rent, in your opinion?
Well, that's one of those things that people really do need to think about. People often think that when they're renting, it's a better idea to buy because you're throwing your money away and you're not getting any equity. But if you're not going to be living in the home for at least 5 years, the cost to sell might actually negate all the benefits that you've received from buying the home.
That's a good point, too. I like your honesty on that. So you say that 5 years is probably the good sort of cutoff to sort of look at yourself,
Exactly.
And see where your situation is. So if you do decide that, yes, you do want to buy, when would you say is the best time to get your pre-approval? Because everything is kind of rushed these days.
Right. It used to be that you could have a pre-approval that was within the last 6 months, but that's no longer true. In order to show the seller that you are really serious, it's good to have one that's actually within the last 30 days.
Oh, wow. I had not known that. So really it is a tight time frame.
Absolutely.
So when you're getting that pre-approval and sort of starting to look at houses, how do you get the best sense of maybe what you can afford? How do you be realistic about that?
Right, because you can go into the bank and they'll tell you based on your income, this is exactly the house that you can buy. But that doesn't take into account your budget. You might be a person who likes to go out to eat. You might like to go on trips. You might like to go get your coffee every morning. So you really need to take a look at your budget first, and also keep in mind that things are going to need to be repaired. There are going to be these extra costs that are going to come up that aren't necessarily taken into account in the cost of the home. So you really need to figure out what you can afford on a monthly and an annual basis in order to buy the home.
That's a good point. I mean, you don't want things to be so tight and to always just go to the top end of the budget. Well, they said I can afford this, so that's what I'm going to go for. So yeah, it's important to be realistic. So for somebody, especially a first-time buyer, who's best for them to work with, just sort of to have an expert on their side?
Right, so you'll want to have the banker. You'll obviously want to have a home inspector. You'll want to have a realtor. But I mean, when I went to look at my house for the first time, I actually brought along a trusted friend who had owned a house for a long time. He knew my personality. He knew what I liked to fix and what I didn't like to fix. And he walked through it with me. And that way I knew, his take on, hey, Sue, there's something going on in the basement. You're not going to want to deal with that. Let's just walk away, something like that. So it's always good to bring somebody who has a little bit more knowledge than you along with you to take a look at it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing too. And I would say too, I always like to get an inspection too done to sort of have that
Absolutely.
expert there.
A good inspector is definitely somebody you want to have on your side.
Yeah, because you just never know. Like you said, some things are going to need to be fixed, and better to plan for that ahead of time. Well, lots of really great tips for us today. Sue Peck from Evolution Financial. Thank you so much. I loved your honesty and the great tips that you had to share with us today. Stay with us. There's a lot more right after the break.